today to talk to you about Valentine's Day coming on Monday. Now, we know a lot of people are celebrating tonight and this weekend, but we wanted to let you know what women really want, and you wanted to talk about what?
Well, there's some words that I've associated with Valentine's Day that I think are really, really important for a loving relationship and maybe to emphasize on Valentine's Day. And I think sometimes when I talk about Valentine's Day, I'm trying to address men and what they need to know going into that. Frankly, I think Valentine's Day is kind of scary for guys. We don't know what to do often, and so we grab for candy and flowers on the way home. And so that's kind of I don't know, tradition's fine, but you'd like to think you'd be more creative than just that, right? So, and so there's some other things that we can focus on. So I'd like to talk about that.
Okay. Well, how about we start off with the gifts? Because I know we looked at a survey.
We did, and this was the funniest thing when we looked at this. But the truth is, it was fairly predictable. In a way, it was predictable.
It's a survey by the government on what men and women really want for Valentine's Day. And so we found that hilarious because women and men do not want the same thing. And sadly, men want, you want to start off with what men want
Sure,
or women?
yeah. Well, why don't we do
survey.
number one for men and you do number one for women.
Now,
number one, what?
Well, they surveyed 1,400 people. So I don't know, because I couldn't find the statistics if it was half men, half women. I don't know. But I think so.
Yeah, it's hard to tell just from that statistic. Usually if you get 1,000 people in a survey, that's considered, viable. So here's what men say they would like
now
for Valentine's.
Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
It just says 1 in 5 men say they want sexual favors as a Valentine's Day this year. Sexual acts of sexual favors. I'm thinking, okay, wonder what sexual favors is. I don't know. You know what that is?
Well, in women, like it's their top 5. It's not on the list.
Not even on the list. Doesn't even rate.
And it says women, chocolate and candy is their number 1. And I thought, these are gifts, by the way, if you're giving gifts.
Right, okay.
Now the number 2.
Wait, I have a question about that.
What? Okay.
Chocolates and candy, okay? If in the survey, that came out number 1 for women, right?
Right.
So, okay, what fine line does a husband walk, you guys, if his wife may want chocolate and yet she's kind of watching her weight? So is Valentine's a time out for that? And so does she get chocolates, or do you kind of get a different kind of chocolate, sugar-free chocolate, dark chocolate? How does that work?
I'm assuming you're not talking personally. So
no, this is broadly speaking.
Ron just made some comments on there. Hello, Ron. I think that women are on a diet a lot. In my opinion, they're always worried about their weight.
Yep.
Now, there are those women who do not, and they never have trouble. Or there are those women that work out so much that they don't have to worry about it. But in general, most women seem to always be working on that, right? So, maybe Valentine's Day is a time to just enjoy. Now, if you know that they don't want, they're always worried about that, you could buy sugar-free.
Yeah.
If trying to find something that they would like.
Yes, and there may be a favorite kind of chocolate that she likes, and so.
But all in all, it's just the day.
Yes.
Not like all so. It's a sweet thing to do.
Yeah. Oh, pun intended.
No pun intended. No pun intended.
Second on the men's list is they would like to receive a card.
And that was second for women too. Men it was 26%. Women it was 27%.
Now, why do you think a card? Not to spend all our time here, I don't want to do that, but I was wondering, I honestly love getting cards and giving cards. And do you enjoy that too?
Well, I think it's not. I'd rather get one than not get anything. If I didn't get anything, I at least want a card. I think that you give very sweet cards. And there are some people that pick out some really funny cards.
Yes, I remember her.
Yeah, it's really funny. And I'm checking to see what. Oh, sugar cookies. Somebody mentioned sugar cookies.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing. The fun thing about Valentine's Day is you get to talk back and what would you, and what would you like? Or here, and a wife may say, "Don't get me candy."
Yeah, well, they might. Well, I mean, if she does that, you don't want to do
right.
that. But I do think that a lot of guys run through Walmart at the last minute picking up any kind of card. And any kind of card is, you just want to try to make it sound like, but yeah, sound like the person or sound like how you really feel. Even if you write it, it's funny about women because they love kids, getting them a card, writing them, making them things.
Yeah.
But they can make cards. Now, for men, number 3.
Number 3 was chocolates and candy for guys, and so okay. Yeah, my tastes kind of ebb and flow about the chocolate stuff. There are times when I just would really like some chocolate, and there are other times I don't want chocolate, and so anyway, I do like chocolate.
Well, you eat chocolate more than just on Valentine's Day.
I do, from time to time, yes.
And so for you, maybe on Valentine's, it's not such a big deal. But the guys, that was their 3rd.
Yeah, number 3.
And for women, the 3rd was flowers. Now, it wasn't first. It was 3rd. So whether you cut flowers and bring them in or you buy them, it doesn't have to be a really expensive flowers. But, what do you think?
Well, I personally, I enjoy a bouquet on the table.
You do.
And so, and I love roses. It was my mom's favorite, and I kind of inherited that from her right there.
So would I buy you roses?
Good question. I think I would.
I've never thought about it.
I know. I haven't thought about receiving them either. But the thing is, no. What I was thinking, you and I have talked about the fact that cut flowers go away pretty quick. And so they make a splash at first.
Yes.
Would a woman, you think, would you include in the flowers category for number 3 potted plants that you can plant in the ground? Or
I guess it doesn't matter. You mean plants would be cool too.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. Well,
for me, I was looking at that. For me, my kids will get me plants, right? They'll give me, like my daughter gave me an azalea plant. To plant one time with flowers.
Yeah.
I love pretty
It's
flowers.
beautiful.
When I was younger, I wasn't as crazy about that because they died. But I love them, and if you can plant them, that's great. But with women, it's 3rd flowers. Men, 3rd is chocolate or candy. It doesn't have to be chocolate.
Number 4 for the guys was wine or liquor.
Wine or liquor.
And they're not the same.
And it's not on the women's top 5.
No.
So I think that's very fascinating because men often think they're just trying to give their women alcohol.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
To kind of crash their inhibitions, you mean, and just let
I
those things fade away.
I was just joking around.
What are you getting at?
But yeah, so it's on the men's list, but not on the women's list.
Yeah, wine or liquor. Yeah. Okay.
But if you know that about your spouse, that they enjoy wine or liquor, that's a nice thing.
Yeah. That can
now,
be nice.
the interesting thing on number 4 is jewelry for women, whereas wine for men.
I would think that men would put that just in their own heads, higher up the women's list than where it falls actually in number 4.
Well, I think that women it can be simple if it's that might be the difference between where you are in your relationship, because
that's
I think
a good point. Yeah.
Talking about Valentine's Day, it's an emotional kind of a heightened emotional time.
Yeah.
Depending on if your relationship is good or bad, or in a good place or a hard place, and so that can also determine what you might get for them.
It sure
But
could.
definitely you want to take some time and think about it, and the actual day is not till Monday, so you do have time.
You do have a little time left. That's true. That's true. And so number 5 for guys, and this is the last one on the list here, is electronics. And for some guys that would be perfect. For other guys it wouldn't be perfect.
The ones who like electronics.
Right.
There's so many electronics. We were at an auction last night with the city, a silent auction.
Yeah,
and one of the guys was there, and I was like, "Did you bid on anything?" And he goes, "No, I can't believe it. There's no tools. They always have tools every year to bid on. No tools. There's nothing that I want." And I saw Top Golf. We ended up bidding and winning on Top Golf because we're going to do that this weekend. And I was like, yay, we get to use it. But yes. So electronics of any kind, it depends on what kind of electronics. And for women, it's a certificate for a massage or a spa day or having them take them to a spa day. We actually just talked to a couple and they are going for a spa day.
No kidding.
Yes.
Okay, what
But
a
they're
great
going to
idea.
dinner. When you know how dinner is not on that list?
That's amazing, isn't it? That dinner out is not on the list.
No, because dinner, it's eating. It might not feel so special for some people. Now,
Right.
if it's dinner with a rose on the table, like we went out for French food at a pretty romantic place last year.
It was, yeah.
Yes.
That was the anniversary, though, right? It was a Valentine's.
I don't know. Was it anniversary? No.
I thought, but I could be wrong about that.
You could be right.
Could
I
be.
don't
Could be. I don't know.
All right.
It was a great time, though. Great place, great time, great food.
Yes. So one of the things that I wanted you on, because your show is Men Loving Well, and you talked about helping men love well. We did do that in our show last week. If either there's positive emotions or negative emotions, when you think about Valentine's, what advice would you give for Valentine's Day? Because it's a day that's pretty emotional and how to do it well. And we were going to talk about what women want as well, and men too, but there are some main things that women really need in a relationship. Last week we talked a lot about how men are and kind of the way men are. Women always wonder why men have a hard time loving well or knowing what to do. Even on Valentine's Day, they can just not know what to do.
Right.
So what's the main advice you have?
Well, I don't know. Boy, I don't know if I could pare it down to one or not. But I think one thing would be whatever you do, make it special. Make it special. Do not make it mundane. Don't make it what we always do. And if your tendency is just to go out to the same restaurant all the time, then that might not be the best place to go on Valentine's Day. I think it needs to be special. And the thing is, it needs to be, I like working it out with you. I mean, I think working it out, what we would like to do, what would be special to us, is a really key question to ask. And so that would be one thing. Make it special, and you may need to talk to your partner about that, your wife, your husband about that, in order to determine what you think would be a special thing to do. And so I think that's important. One guy told me, he said, I can fix as good a dinner on my grill as I can get out.
Right.
And so it just kind of depends. And so if if you know what your wife loves that you cook, and you know that maybe she loves dessert along with it or whatever, then you do that. It can be really a special thing.
So you're making it sound like love and affection are very important both ways.
Well, and
so
hadn't
love
even said
both
that
ways.
yet.
So to care about what your wife wants, to care about what your husband wants.
Right.
And to do that together.
And then, yes. And then another thing that I think is really important is not just to focus on the gift. Because some people really don't care that much about gifts. Like if we go through the love languages and one of those is gifts out of the 5, yours is number 5 out of all those 5. Mine's number 5. And so which means a gift is nice, but it doesn't just quite do it for us.
So you're talking about the love languages by Gary Chapman.
Yes,
and
yes.
There are 5 different love languages, how you feel loved.
Whoops.
And when we took it, mine, number 1 was words and time, or number 2. But last, it was 0. Like it came out totally 0 on my list was gifts. So yours was also last? Gifts was
Mine
last?
was last, yeah.
So for us, gifts wouldn't be something that would be so important.
Not the
Valentine's.
focus.
Right, not the
And
focus.
I think that some people get the wrong idea, and they'll focus on the gift, or they'll try to really spend time working on that, or spend a lot of money on it or something. And some people just don't care that much about it. Here's some things that I think are important.
Okay.
I think affection is really, really important to offer one another on Valentine's Day. Other days too, don't get me wrong, this isn't the only day out of the year we do that, but affection, and we do that through the words that we speak.
Okay.
Sweet words. Can a guy say that? Can a guy use sweet words? Hopefully you can. Kind words, loving words, caring words. A loving touch is a part of affection, and it's a part of romance. And so it'd be fun to do a show on this sometime, but there is a hierarchy of intimate intimacy and expressions of intimacy. And near the top is touching of the face or the head. That's like it's like 10 out of 12, of most intimate kinds of things that we do. And so a touch on the face, on the head, or the
So
hair.
you're talking about a loving touch.
Yes, a loving touch, yeah.
So why don't we stop right there? We have to take a break.
Okay.
And we'll be right back, and we can pick it up from here.
Good deal. Can't wait.
Hey, Ron. Sorry about that. You guys came for... Oh, clean your house for dinner. Yes. Guys.
Oh, it's an act of service?
Guys can do that.
Ah.
They could clean their house. What else we have?
Yeah.
We have different ideas.
Good.
Can you see that better if you take your reading glasses off?
No, it's in between for me. I can't really read it.
It's your birthday. He says it's my birthday.
Oh, really? Valentine's Day?
I don't do V-Day. It's my birthday. Not today. Monday is your birthday. Happy birthday, Ron. That's really cool.
Yeah, happy birthday, Ron.
I
that is
saw
kind of neat.
On Facebook. So we are using, and I'm going to pull that up with other people so I can see everybody. I'm going to pull it up right now on Facebook. So the loving touch it's interesting that you don't, because men, it would be sexual acts or favors, but the way that you get to there is the touching,
right?
Like a real touch, a loving touch, not in let's go have this leads to sex kind of touch. I'm just saying.
Right. And so when I separate affection from sexuality, even though there can be an overlap there, right?
Yeah.
When I talk about affection, I'm talking about a person's heart being cared for really, really well. And sometimes if you touch a person on the shoulder, you caress their hair, you caress their face, that's affection. And that can be really, really important on a day like Valentine's Day.
Yes, and I think that part of it is because women do want, it's a very important part of a marriage.
Sure.
And so how do you get there? Because women, it isn't their first thought on Valentine's. In fact, they often worry that a man's just going to want that. But that's...
You mean sex?
Oh, yes. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I would think that she would want affection. She would want an affectionate touch and a sweet, loving, caring touch. Mm-hmm. But, really, again, it depends on where the couple is. Some people might not want that at a given time if they're struggling,
Well,
this is kind of considering that things are pretty good.
Okay. So, if they're not, let's just talk about that real quick. If they're not...
If things aren't good?
No, I know that, I'm sure everybody who's on there right now has a great relationship, right? But for people where it's, we have clients, it's just a hard time for them right now.
Then there's some other, if a touch, it would not be the best thing at a given time. There are other things we can do, especially with our words. So.
Okay, so let me go back over here. So with your words, with your actions.
Yeah. So are we back on yet?
We're going to be in just a minute. Okay. And I'll start it again. So guys, right now we have to do it by the radio show too, because we have breaks.
Right.
And so we're going to keep it going here, but we also have to do the breaks. Lou says, don't forget to hug each other.
Good. Yeah.
And Ron says, clean the bed sheets, basically change the bedding. Okay. There's lots of things you can do to help.
Sure.
And that's really...
Especially if her main love language is acts of service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I love the idea of hugging, though. That's really, really great.
Yeah. Make her bed early in the morning. That was a good one, too.
Okay, good.
Any of those ideas are great. Right, thank you, Luke. Okay, so let me pull it back up. Start it back. Okay. All right. Welcome back. We are here to talk about love and relationships on Valentine's Day, which is coming up.
Yeah, it's coming up, and what a great topic. I love it.
And you just mentioned loving touch and affection. Mm-hmm. And we talked about a little bit, but on break, we were talking about if your relationship is emotionally hard right now.
Okay,
if there's you made some suggestions for that.
Yeah, and I think that if sometimes depending on where a couple is, even a loving touch, a caring touch, an opportunity for affection or something like that might not feel just right. Other things might need to be done first in terms of like dialogue and talking, that kind of thing. But let me just say there's some things that we can do that don't involve touching necessarily. Showing admiration for a wife or a husband. And so we would encourage you to think about what you admire about your spouse, why you admire him or her, and then tell them.
Words of affirmation to affirm them. That's a good idea.
And admiration, words of appreciation, praise words even. And sometimes the example is given, oh, I love your hair, the way you fix your hair or something. And that's great. You just got yours trimmed today. It looks really, really good. But it's not just that kind. It's not just physical things, right?
Yes.
We can admire a person. We can admire my wife and say, you know what? You do that so well, whatever that might be. You are so good at that. I never could do that very well. I'm so glad I have you because you're great at it.
So these are things that I thought women loved, and I would teach, talk to women about what they really like on Valentine's Day or what they need. Mm-hmm. And one of those was a bit of admiration, right? Right. But Jim said, that these are things men like too. Love and affection, a bit of admiration. Men need to feel respected and loved and important.
I know. My problem right now is how far to go into this.
No, go ahead.
The things I was just saying, when I first took the love languages quiz, my highest, number one, was physical touch.
Yeah.
And that still is very important to me. And so it means a lot to me, physical touch, an affectionate touch, and it doesn't have to, it can be touching my shoulder, and you know this, I mean, you're the one who does this, right?
Yeah.
My shoulder, or you can put your arm around me, or you can take my hand and hold my hand. It doesn't have to be for more than 10 seconds. And I feel this kind of electric shock goes through me.
That's because, though, so we're going to mention love languages again. Yeah. One of your top love languages is physical touch.
It is.
That is non-sexual touching, but it's just loving touches, the warmth of someone's hand on your face or on your hand or sitting close.
Yeah, and I remember one time, and it was, I just remember the first time that our hands touched. It was like an electric shock. It just went through my whole body.
I thought it was our elbows.
Well, maybe that was what it was.
He talked about that, and I was like, really?
Still happens. So anyway, go ahead.
So that's why it's important to know somebody's love language. So one of the things you can do on Valentine's Day is to go to Dr. Gary Chapman's website on love languages, and it's the number 5, lovelanguages.com. And you can both take the test and see. It actually scores it and gives you your highest ones, and I want you really to know your top 2, but you need to know your spouse's or your significant other's top 2.
Yeah, and what a great idea that is. I think on Valentine's Day, if you haven't done it, that for a couple to do the love languages survey, it's really, really a great idea. You must know number 1 and you must know number 5.
Well, why? Tell them why.
Well, because often what we try to do is to love our partner with our own love language, which may not be anything that makes her feel loved. It may be if you
So like, knowing that my last one is gifts, then therefore you would know that wasn't so important.
Well, yeah, because if my first one is gifts, I'm going to try to love you with gifts because that's what makes me feel loved.
Or if it's service, you're going to do a lot of things for me, which is great. But that not if you're not affirming me or spending time with me just because you're cleaning and making the bed for me and bringing me coffee or whatever, doesn't mean I'm going to feel loved. Right. It might mean I feel like your child or something. I don't know. But that's the reason that you need to realize if someone's number 5.
Yeah.
If yours is this is yours, but someone else is lower, a lot lower, by you doing that for them. And that's part of understanding that, right? Yeah,
and the only reason I mention that is because it's a natural tendency to want to give someone else what means the most to us.
Yeah.
but maybe that's not what they want. They need something else from us sometimes, and so that's the point. I need to know what she doesn't want, or as much as well as what she really does want.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So healthy relationships are easier at Valentine's. Though the problem can be people who are in a good place and are real healthy together and things are good, they can ignore Valentine's and not think it's very important.
Well, I still think Valentine's Day is a day for lovers, and would this be the time? I'd love to just say a word about Saint Valentine because I think it's so cool. Where are we in our breaks?
No, so just hold on that and
Hold
we'll make
off
it
on
back.
that. Okay.
Okay, so we're going to take a break right here and we'll come back and then I want you to hear about that because Saint Valentine's was such a cool person.
Yeah, he was really
And
neat.
most people don't realize that at
Nope.
all. So stay right here. We'll be right back so you can love better on
Yeah,
Monday.
all right.
Okay. All right. So we just will start again. There we go.
Are we making any sense at all?
Yes.
I think we are.
11 things women need to have in a relationship. That's what I was going to call this show for Valentine's Day, right? Because I have a lot of women that tell me men don't understand. But then you saw what I was saying, and then you thought men needed it too.
I do.
This is what men need in a relationship. The survey does make it sound like it's different than that, right? But welcome back.
Oh, are we back?
We
All
are
right.
back.
Welcome back, everybody.
Yes. We actually, we're just talking about how I had talked about the 11 things women need, and we're planning on having that be the 11 things women really need in a relationship or even today.
Yeah.
For Valentine's weekend.
Right.
For Monday. Any of that. But then you saw them, and you said, wait, men need these things
Yeah,
too.
I think they're all things that, I mean, at least that's the way I see it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I want your focused attention on a regular basis.
Yes.
You know, I want your touch, your caring, loving touch. And I'm just saying I believe men need these things as well as women, but maybe not in the same order. And we haven't talked about sex or sexuality yet, but apparently, according to some surveys, you know, both men and women need that and want that, and I believe that's really
Well, I think
true for
everyone
healthy
wants
people.
to have a great relationship so that, and have a sexually active relationship, but have it be real, not fake. And I think that's what everyone really wants. Some men will say, well, okay, but if it's not real or something, I don't ever want it. And so I think, you know, everybody longs to have a great relationship. So we just had a listener say that every day for them is Valentine's Day. So that is the thing. Every day with my sweetheart is Valentine's Day. Now, see, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. We all want that. We all want that.
We would all like to have
And
that.
so we're going to help you get there. So a husband longs to have love and affection, to be admired,
Yes.
right? To be told that he's admired, and you can do that in so many ways. And it also says a husband, I was thinking a woman loves for a husband to kind of be, not addicted, that wouldn't be the right word, but crazy about his wife, you know, so crazy about her.
Right.
And then you said so does a man.
Yeah, I think so too. When people can get wrapped up in their work, or they can get wrapped up in the kids or the house or what's going on anywhere and any time. But you know, when a husband and a wife are apart for any period of time, they need to know that they are missed.
Yeah, they need to know they're missed.
Yeah, and I had a guy tell me one time that that caused a lot of trouble between him and his wife, because when he got home from a trip, she casually said something like, "Did you miss me?" And he said, "Well, not particularly." And I'm thinking, "Are you just stupid or what?"
Oh,
Who would say that?
He was being honest.
I was being honest, and I can give him that.
But see, that's thinking kind of like, because part of it is you can have a good time when you're gone, and like I was speaking in the Rocky Mountains, and it was beautiful and gorgeous, and I couldn't believe it. But in my heart, a part of me really wished that you guys could all be there and see what I was seeing. And so I had a wonderful time. But the missing you was, God, I wish you could have experienced with me, right? And so when I was in Holland, same thing when I was speaking there. It was so beautiful, and it was like I was having such a great time, but at the same time I wished you guys could see it. And I knew you would love it.
Yeah.
And so it's not that when they asked, did you miss me? It doesn't mean that you were lonely and sad and had to have them there. That's not what they're asking.
Not that you're pining away in your hotel room or
Yes,
something.
exactly.
But I must admit, if you and I are apart for a very long time, I feel like a part of me is just missing. That's all there is to it.
Yes, but we also, quality time is one of our.
Yeah.
So we love time together, right?
Right.
And people who are both quality time, I don't know, can you have too much time? I don't know. Now, if you're not getting along, I would think that would be tough. So, but also, which is another one we talked about, was a partner being your friend. Being a friend.
Yeah, and so, deciding what that means for my wife to be my friend, yes, and my husband. But, what does that mean? A friend who's a true friend, a good friend, is going to support you no matter what. They're going to believe the best about you. They're going to be someone you can trust. They're not going to throw you under the bus. They're not going to betray you. You can share things with them. Open your heart up to them, and they will be kind to you, and they will accept you. That kind of thing. You can dialogue with them.
Yes.
That kind of thing. And so, we really want that in a marriage partner as well. So that's a friendship part of marriage. And without that, I don't know that it can be very rich,
And that's where we talk to people about this weekend or even on Monday, having fun together. Yes, it can be romantic, but part of it is if you've started realizing maybe you've lost some of your friendship or a lot of your friendship, and that can happen. Like if you move away from your friends, if you don't keep in contact with them, you can lose it. And that's just calling and talking to them on Facebook. Or if you never visit them. So let's say you don't talk to them much or visit them, spend time with them much, you're going to lose that friendship. And what happens with people is that couples, they'll get involved in work, kids, school even.
Yeah.
And they don't have a lot of time for each other. They might put it all into work or kids or school and just not feel like, okay, spending one-on-one time is important. Then you'll lose your friendship. So how do you get it back? You start spending time together, having fun, not deep talks, because you might not know how to talk.
Yeah.
But building that friendship is important. Building it back again. And if you had it before, you can get it again. Just know that.
3 things that are important, I think, when it comes to that particular thing, spending time together. You want to give one another these things, okay? Eye contact, some loving, caring, physical contact, and by that I mean touch in some way, hold hands, whatever. Eye contact, physical contact, and what we call focused attention. That is, we're getting eye contact, we're looking at one another, we're listening, we're responding, we're carrying on a dialogue. That's the most meaningful kind of attention.
Yes.
You can have an enjoyable evening sitting in front of the TV watching a movie that you enjoy.
You can.
But it's not what we're talking about when it comes to quality time.
Well, because unless it's something you both really love and you're both really engaging in it, and talking about it. But one of the things that I think, if you're having trouble with each other, encouraging each other is so important.
Yeah.
And encouraging dreams. I mean, you've always encouraged my dreams.
I believe I have. I've really tried to do that. All kinds of dreams.
I was like, how hard can that be? Let's try it. And you'd be like, But you've always been encouraging. You've always been willing to try things, and then, sometimes you talk to me about risk, like, have you considered?
Well,
but you don't put me down and make fun of me. You don't talk down to me. And lots of things you weren't really sure about, you went along with it, and we had a really good time, and it turned out great.
Well, and that's really true, yeah.
Or when I said, we can just build offices and bring on other counselors, and we can run it, and we can have a clinic, and you were like, okay. All right, so we started building. You didn't just go through, and you could have, because you think of all the risk.
Yeah, and that's a big difference between you and me. And there are many reasons for it, but I'm a guy who doesn't like to take risks. Okay. Yeah. And you're a woman who kind of enjoys the rush of a risk.
Well, I don't know that I really think of all the risk. I don't really think it through. Like when I was in gymnastics, they just said, run, do back handspring, back flip, and I'll catch you. And I just said, okay. because I didn't think it all the way through like you do. If I had thought it all the way through, I might not have done it, right?
Yeah.
And so there is this help that you give me by kind of helping me risk assess a little bit if it's too dangerous.
And what you bring to me,
scary.
What you bring to me is a richness and a joy in life that I would not have had if you hadn't encouraged me and said, "Come on, let's take the risk."
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, you're like that for me.
Well, and I think that is a really good place to take a break.
Let's do it.
And come back, and we'll give you a lot more tips for Valentine's. Just some really important things to help each other feel really loved.
There you go.
Anything before we go back? Hey guys, thanks for hanging there. Oh, I see something else. Hold on. Okay, my wife dreams were married to my wife dreams she was married to a good cook. Guess she could have told me she can't cook. LOL, that's funny. That's funny. Well, you must have just been so much in love, you just didn't even think to have her cook for you if that was really important.
Well, and often we don't ask the right questions when we're.
How would you know to do that, right? Like, that's kind of funny because you don't know.
Yeah, often you just don't even know the questions to ask when you're young and you feel like you're in love, and it's hard to navigate that sometimes. But they need counselors to share with them what the right questions are, though, right? To ask in a situation like that.
They need counselors.
Yeah.
Or
a
friends.
mentor, or a good dad, or
little
mom,
friends.
somebody,
So get some advice. Yes, take time, talk. But definitely, if you're not married yet, think about that. If you love good food and you want to marry a cook, you need to ask him about that. Or you both love good food and you love going out.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. You find commonalities, common ground, and you talk about that, and you talk about the uncommon ground too. But it's important. If there's something you want in a relationship, brother, you better go after it. And you better know what you're getting.
Yeah. Did you hear that? Okay. So, going for what you want, we had a listener say that their wife wanted to marry somebody who was a good cook, and he said, I didn't know she couldn't cook, but I married her. I thought that was funny. So we were kidding around on break about knowing to ask that. Ask somebody, do you cook? Can you cook? When you're young, you don't think of that. Okay, so encouragement we talked about right for a minute ago about how important it is to encourage
someone to follow their dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you have to know their dreams, and that's how you got to talk to them.
Yep.
Right? And I think that people will do that early on, but they forget to do that. And I know that, we were going out one night, and I saw a license plate. Somebody passed by, not a license plate, a bumper sticker.
Oh.
And it said, remember what you wanted to be. And I said to you, do you remember? I just was kidding around. Do you remember what you wanted to be? And I thought it was a dentist, because you always said you wanted to be a dentist. But that is not what you said. And what did you say instead?
I wanted to be an archaeologist.
I was like, what? And you said, well, actually, a paleontologist. But I didn't know that at the time.
I wanted to dig up dinosaurs and other fossil bones and stuff like that.
I just wasn't expecting that. I thought I knew everything about him. And so we went into this talk about you wanted to be an archaeologist. And he talked to me about that and how he left that behind. Mm-hmm. Because he thought because you got car sick, you couldn't travel.
Yeah, it's somebody kind of talked me out of it because they said I'd have to travel a lot if I was an archaeologist, and he said, "Do you like to travel?" I said, "No." I said, "I get car sick," and I was a little kid. Okay, I was just a kid when we were talking. He said, "Well, you don't want to be an archaeologist," and I thought, "Okay, I won't be an archaeologist."
Yeah.
So I followed other things, but one of the things we've talked about lately is. Top 100 things we'd like to do is I really would like to go on an archaeological dig.
Well, we have a friend, and we've had him on Patterns of Evidence movies, Tim Mahoney, filmmaker, and he told you, Jim,
he said I could make that happen.
Come on a dig with me.
Yeah.
We are going to do a dig in Israel, right? It was in Israel?
Yeah, it's in Israel, which I would love to do, and I know the opportunity's there.
It's coming up in March.
Yeah, so
yes.
they're there will be others, I'm sure. But
Oh,
anyway, I would
follow
love
your
that.
dreams, Jim.
I
Follow
know,
your
right?
dreams. Yes. Who knows what's going to be going on then, right? But that's the cool thing about me wanting you to follow your dreams, even if I can't go. But I think it would be fun to go. How about being equals instead of somebody being in control all the time, or somebody being, um, you know, the head or whatever, right? Like, I think that one of my friends, when I was getting married, they said, "You're not going to say obey in the vows, are you?" We don't live in the 18th century, or they were so funny. And I said, "Well, I don't know. Well, why would you say obey? Are you going to obey him?" And so, like, part of it is the importance of being equals. And then, of course, we talked, and you said that's not what Jesus is talking about.
Well,
And that was nice to hear.
The New Testament writings are so clear, about the fact that there is it's a team. Marriage is a team.
Right, it's
Teamwork,
a team.
right?
Yes.
And so each brings something the other can't bring. It wasn't created to bring. And so we need to be aware of that. The husband brings things to his wife in the marriage that it's not her natural thing to do or produce, and vice versa, she for him. And
so
fact,
one is not more superior than the other.
no,
of course not.
And none of the New Testament writers say that.
No.
There's nothing about superiority in it. And even being head means submitting yourself and loving your wife. You go to Ephesians 5 there where it's talking about that. And the way you love your wife, the way you are the head of your wife, is to love her like Christ loved the church. You sacrifice for her, you submit to her, you enjoy her, you lead her.
You listen
but
to
not
her.
dragging her along,
Right,
okay?
right.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think that, when Jesus came, men were somewhat abusive to women in a lot of ways, and they exerted power over them. And I mean, when they
Often they could be, yeah.
and they stoned her to death for an affair, but the man, I don't know, he wouldn't be there. So I mean, there were a lot of things back then. Jesus came and treated women very differently than they had been treated, and made them part of his group, and taught women. And all that women didn't get taught back then, and so he was for equality. Definitely, that he considered women just as important as men.
And that doesn't take away from our maleness or femaleness at all. When we use the word equality or equals. And so if we're going to be good husbands, guys, we're going to have to make our wives feel equal. And that has to do with the way we treat her.
And valuing her opinion,
Absolutely.
valuing her efforts, valuing her brain and her suggestions and her dreams. Mm-hmm. Yes.
There's so many things that go along with that, and so, but anyway, considering her equal.
Yes. So we also had a listener say, I would suggest as well in today's world, turning off your phones and being with each other again. And that's one of the things, the electronics this weekend, turn them off, phones off, spend time one-on-one. Don't let it distract you away.
Yeah, this is kind of showing,
Thank you for
my
that.
stripe, I guess, but I think the internet has been the largest contributor, greatest contributor to the destruction of
Marriage.
human relationships and marriage
just
of anything else.
Yeah, it's not just marriage, because I have kids who can't communicate.
No.
They texting. I thought one of the girls that I saw talk to her boyfriend. I mean, she says we talk and talk and talk. But then she was telling me she was afraid to meet him to talk, and I didn't get it. And I finally realized, wait, you have never talked to him, like in person? No. What? Like, so they would text all the time or talk on Snapchat or whatever, but they never actually had a conversation together.
Isn't that incredible?
Oh my goodness, I didn't know.
But
Even
it
at
happens.
lunchtime, they're on their phones, she said, and they would send messages back and forth. I was like, oh no.
They could be sitting next to each other and doing that,
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of things about electronics that can really get in the way. And we just talked to, and you, not you, but I just talked to a woman who told me that when they're in bed, they're both on their phones at night, and then they fall asleep. They don't even communicate in bed. Before they go to sleep, they don't talk. And I don't think that they realized over the years what they've been doing. And so they're trying hard to put their phones down and not do that.
That's great. I'm glad.
All
Okay.
right.
All right.
Well, hold on right here.
Okay.
And let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Take a break. See you in a minute.
Okay. Thank thank you so much for your suggestions, Ron. And Lou, he keeps getting little hearts. I love anybody make suggestions. We appreciate it so much. And we wanted to do something different today. We've done a lot of Valentine shows, but we were like, when it really comes down to it, the basic things that people need. Basic things that people need. I thought it was the basic things that women need, and then you let me know this is really what people need.
I think so. Yeah.
People need.
I think so.
Bring on the barbecue. We have to do a barbecue show with you, Ron. A barbecue show.
Ron, you could tell us all the different kinds of flavors that you bring out in barbecue and different ways of doing it and everything.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
a great idea. Let's have
see,
Ron.
I didn't pass that on. I mentioned it to Ron that we need to do a barbecue show. Getting better at cooking and barbecuing. I'm telling you, that is a great skill to have.
I agree.
Ron,
I agree.
just send me some dates. And you can even demonstrate. You can get on Facebook Live or Instagram Live or however you want to do it. You can, however you want to do it. But you gotta get some pictures. Or just take pictures of your food. Yeah, okay. He's cracking me up. All right. Okay, let's start again. So we have this last segment. What are the most important things? Oh, I'm sorry. We have,
Well, I just wanted to address,
6 more minutes.
eighth one here, and just mentioned this about sexual satisfaction. It became clear as we researched this that this is important to both men and women. It may not be in the same order, but both men and women, people who love each other, in a marriage relationship, they want sexual satisfaction, and so it's important to actually to work on that.
Yes.
It honestly, it does. True satisfaction, true gratification in the sexual act does not just come easily, usually.
Well, Dr. Minard talked about happiness as a choice.
Yes.
And Dr. Gary Chapman says love is a choice. And basically, if you focus on anything, it gets better. Like if you focus on your weight, and you weigh every day, then you're going to be much more careful about what you eat and your weight. If you focus on, I want to learn to exercise, right? And so focus on that, that'll get better. Mm-hmm. If you focus on, I'm going to start cleaning my room, or I'm going to start, whatever you focus on, improves. Mm-hmm. And so figuring out what's ever lacking in your relationship, and that's why I say marriage isn't good or bad. Marriage is hard because you got to work at it. I have people that work hard at work. They work hard at athletics. They work hard at a lot of things, but they don't work hard at their marriage. Trying to really be a better person for their spouse and help their spouse or whatever. Yeah. And so, hold on. Let's start. Okay. So we'll start there.
Okay.
Okay. And so it's only like.
Okay.
So we're wrapping up here on the Getting Better show. With Valentine's Day coming up, what you can do to really, I was going to say what women really want on Valentine's, but what people really want on Valentine's, right?
That's just the way I see it.
Yeah. So a bond of equals, we talked about being equal. You are equal, and valuing each other is very important. Valuing each other, not devaluing each other or devaluing anybody. And then you talked about sexual satisfaction on the break. Mm-hmm. Really working. It's important for women too.
Yes.
It's just that women need a lot of other emotional things before they can get there. And if that's so, they usually do when you're dating and you're romantic and all that. And they feel this sexual attraction, mm-hmm. right? Like because they're doing a lot of people do wonderful things when they're taught all the love languages they often do. They'll give gifts and they talk and they spend time together and they walk and they share and they go out to eat and they have service and do things for you and all these things. But then the longer they're together, often after they get married, they kind of quit doing a lot of that stuff.
Right.
And so if you don't give women the emotional side of it or have fun with them or value them, even if you just don't value somebody and you talk down to them, they can lose sexual attraction for you.
Right.
So the friendship and building that back.
Yeah, I always tell people when we talk about this mm-hmm. That the way you achieve sexual satisfaction in the relationship is through dialogue. You interact. Mm-hmm. You communicate your heart, your soul to the other one.
Yes.
And that is true intimacy. Sex alone is false intimacy.
Yeah, that's false intimacy.
And so we get to true intimacy in sexuality through dialogue.
And there is a book called False Intimacy. Who is that by? Do you remember?
And I can't think of his name right now.
There's a good thing about that book is it actually has some chapters for women to understand what false intimacy is, and some chapters for men to understand what false intimacy is. How about being there for them when they're sad or upset? Or because I think that usually there's one person that's usually there for the other one to have a shoulder to cry on, but the other way often it won't happen. Like if you're, if I'm used to you always being there for me, I might not be there. I'm not used to being there for you maybe, but it's being there for each other is very important. But for a woman especially, they just want you to feel their pain, kind of, they want you to understand. They don't necessarily, and they need you to have their back, and be their greatest fan. They don't necessarily need to know what to do about it.
Right.
And, if you try to fix it because it hurts you to see someone in pain, or you're trying to, it can be disrespectful almost, because it might make them feel like they didn't do the right thing.
Right. And a good thing to say is just, that had to be so tough.
Yeah.
Must have been really hard.
So I guess I would say empathize. Try to understand as best you can.
If you can feel with them, then that's empathy, and that would be good. Yeah, that'd be great.
I do know that I had a woman say, when I asked her what she wanted, she said a little more of yes and a little less of no. I agree. I told her, wow, what a great thing to say.
Yeah, and sometimes I think guys, they may not use the word no, and you and I have talked about this so much, but sometimes a guy may not say no, because that's being dictatorial and
he might not ever
control,
really say
right? May not say no, but it can come out that way, and so honestly, and I'm working on this, and it's not that I say no all the time. It's just that I want to say yes. In fact, there was a time when, even with the kids, I decided I was going to say yes, and I'm going to say no, and maybe I just need to.
Yeah. Well, and it's nice to support your wife with yes.
Absolutely.
To be supportive, to use yes more. If you tend to be a no person, you might want to work on saying yes more. I think that's a good thing, to think about. So when we're talking about what a woman expects from her husband, just in general, we were talking about just attracting her with your looks and your manners and your attitude, like you did when you dated. And you agreed with that. Yeah,
and sometimes it's probably it's over a year ago now, but I made a 3x5 card that I keep in my planner and I move it over every week. Okay, and it's just a note to self. It's a reminder to myself, and on that I said, groom yourself, stand tall, walk tall, smile.
That's funny. I never had seen that. Because it reminds me of Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life.
Oh, really? Okay.
There's one that says, shoulders back, head up, stand tall, don't look pathetic.
Maybe I should have don't look pathetic.
Don't look pathetic. Right, like, I think that you can forget the importance of looking nice for your spouse. And that's how, men can fall for other women at work or whatever, because they have to get up and go to work and be well-groomed and put their makeup on, whatever, for work.
Yep.
Who knows what they do when they're home, right? But as a spouse, you might forget the importance of that.
Yeah,
to being well-groomed. You don't really have that problem, so.
Well, thank you. So manners, saying thank you, saying please, opening doors.
Yes, so important.
Things like that are very important too,
Yes.
We'll do whatever it takes to win a woman, when we're dating or something. But like you said, sometimes that can kind of go by the wayside later on. But we need to remember that and start doing those things in the marriage relationship.
You can start this weekend, guys. I know we have to end, but we just want you to attract your wife or your girlfriend with looks, manners, and attitude. Manners being manners. Yes, ma'am, or I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But how you talk is so important.
Yeah, it really
Remember
is,
being the knight in shining armor, the, what else would you call it? The gentleman.
Yeah,
a gentleman.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I know one of the things you did was open doors for me and everything. I've been an engineer for so long, and I worked with a bunch of men, and so I just wasn't used to men opening. I mean, I don't know why. I guess I felt cool that they treated me like an equal, so I didn't think much about it. But when you were opening doors all the time, at first I thought, whatever, that's cool, that's neat, But eventually I loved it. I thought that's wonderful. He's treating me like a lady.
Oh, that's
I love
great.
that.
That's great.
Well, and if you're single out there, so one of the things that I wanted to just say, that if you're single and it's Valentine's Day, you can go out with your friends and have fun. You can do some fun things. But if you are married and you're doing really well, or you want to, one of the fun things you want to do is have friends over, right, for the week, for dinner, or to do some fun stuff, invite a single person, because Valentine's Day can be hard for them.
You know, that's something a lot of us don't think about often, but I think that's a good idea.
It's always fun to have fun, even if you're single, right? Mm-hmm. And so having fun on Valentine's Day is important. And Gary Chapman talks about love language for singles. And when we had our love language retreat, it was also for singles, and they talked about that. So we are going to just wish you guys the wonderful, wonderful time this weekend.
Yeah.
And encourage you. We'll be praying for you.
Yes, we will. And think on these things. Been fun today. Thank you for your contributions, everyone.
And keep getting better.
And better and better.
Bye-bye. Okay. What you think?
I think I had fun.
Thanks, guys. That was awesome.
Yeah,
it's so
thanks,
good.
everyone.
You guys just have a wonderful weekend. Wonderful weekend.
What a blast.
And thank you for being here. Thank you for taking part. Thank you for helping, as you know. And thanks for those compliments. You were awesome too. And enjoy your barbecue, because I know you're going to make barbecue.
Oh,
and
man.
Ron and Laura, just have a wonderful time this weekend. And Don, what am I saying? Ron and Laura. Lou and Laura. Don't they mix up the spouses?
I wondered who you were talking about.
Ron, what is your wife's name? I don't know. But I know you're always here, and you're some of our greatest fans, and we thank you for being on.
Thanks a lot, guys.
And just take care. Have a wonderful, loving heart day.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Let's just sit in there.
Are they still there?
He's telling me his wife's name. I want to see his wife's name.
Oh.
Chris. Thank you. Ron and Chris, have a great Valentine's. Bye-bye.